The staff, management, ownership of the station. Jay and Janine are expressing their own opinions, and such is not a substitute for psychological or mental health advice. If you are experiencing an emergency, please hang up and call 911.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum.
And welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm your host, Jay Farrow.
And I am Janine Davis. Thank you for joining us. It is Friday.
And for all of us here in Florida, South Florida especially, we have a hurricane on the way, which I'm really excited about. Now, I know it's going to be a little bit strange for some of you people, but yes, I mean, one of my hobbies growing up was I used to chase and still do hurricanes. It was actually a hobby of mine. People ask me, what are your hobbies? I'm like, tennis and hurricanes. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, like the sports team? Like, no. Like the actual storms. So
while everybody else is in full-on panic mode, Jay's actually thrilled to death that the storm is being delivered to his doorstep, so to speak.
A big shout out to the guy upstairs. Thank you for that. And we have a great show for you. We have an exciting guest coming on in our next segment, and she's our coach, Donnell Highland, and you're all going to really enjoy her. I mean, she is just one of those people that really know how to inspire, are present, and are really the reason that the Momentum program is going to be launched when it is. So
absolutely,
that's going to be coming up a little bit, and we're just going to go through our weekly check-in of how our week went. Very interesting week, very, very quick week, as a matter of fact.
I don't know where the time goes, and I know I say this every single week, but the truth is I feel almost like it goes quicker and quicker and quicker each and every time. It's something really fantastic. But a lot's come up this week.
Yeah,
so
let's come up this week.
Let's get into it.
So, I've had a very interesting week, and I've gone on a couple dates in the last week, and I've had a lot of fun. And what was interesting about that experience was it's the first time in about a year and a half that you know, like a technical date, whatever. Now, what's interesting about my world and the way that things are now for me is that I'm not full of it anymore. and just let's unpack
say
that.
More. Please say more, Jay.
That.
That's a very loaded statement.
See,
tell what you mean by that.
My life before a few years ago was based upon lots of manipulation, pretending to be somebody I wasn't, wearing masks. Lots of masks.
Okay.
I was ashamed of who I was. I was ashamed of how I was acting, how I was treating myself. But you know, there was a part of me that I put on a show. I put on an act for people.
Yeah.
I put on an act for my life, and then, you know, little by little, I lost myself in that. I did.
Yeah.
And when you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, you're always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a lot over the years, and that it's been a consistent feeling that you know.
And what's coming up for me this week is this concept of imposter syndrome.
Say more.
When you pretend like you're someone that you're not for so long, you know you're fake.
Yeah.
And that becomes part of your identity. It's that you might be able to fool most of the people by acting the way that you're, or maybe not, but maybe, but you
think so.
I think that I can fool most of the people most of the time. And what the thing is with that is that I know I'm a fake, and I know that I was faking people. And that becomes so part of my identity.
Wait, did you say you know you're a fake, but not now?
Not now,
okay,
but back then. But I'm saying being a fake, wearing masks, was part of my identity.
Yeah.
And my identity was built upon not presenting myself truthfully, because, again, I didn't know who I was, number one.
Yeah.
And number two is I wanted you to think so good about me, so I created a story about myself that I thought that you would buy into.
Yeah.
And then from that place, I knew I was fake, but I was able to get through it by living in the character that I was acting in.
Right.
Now, the first time that I noticed there was a shift in that was back in October of last year, where I was at a seminar and right outside of Las Vegas, and I met Aaron Brockovich.
Right.
And for everybody should know who Aaron
I was
Brockovich
gonna
is.
say,
One
does
of
she
my
need
one of
an
my heroes
introduction?
in the legal community. But she gave this speech to a group of lawyers, and she killed it. She just was like on point, and it was like one of those just moments, just listening to somebody who was just no nonsense, who had passion for what she was up to. And afterwards, I wanted to get a picture with her, and her, like, I want to call her handlers were around her saying, no, we got to take, we only a few minutes. She's like, no, wait, I'm here. So I'm going to take some pictures with some people. and she had a line around her, and I got to take up my picture with her. What's important about this moment I had with her is she looked me in the eyes. And when she looked me in the eyes, I didn't feel inauthentic. I felt like by that point, like I was living in such a way that I was on my way to becoming standing on my own 2 feet, owning myself through and through. And that experience with Aaron Brockovich, even though it was just a moment, it was just like the first time that someone with no nonsense looked at me like, all right, I recognize you too. Good for you. Because I told her a little bit about what I was up to in the law. And she was like, that's, good for you. That's the kind of stuff I like to hear. And it was that look that I had.
Wow.
So last night I was having this wonderful conversation, and I felt authentic. I felt like there was no one else around me. I mean, no one's chasing me, and I could be who I am, and there was nothing part of me that was compelled to embellish, to add to
impress ingenuously.
Right. I am who I am, and what showed up for me was the reflection was beautiful, because I got to see being myself is
good enough.
Yeah. And it was and it's those moments during this journey of transformation that I recognize for myself, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
You know what? You bring up such a beautiful point. I think that, especially in our society, we're so incredibly achievement driven, right? And everything has to be really big. It has to be really just flashy and big. But I think the glory, if I may, is in a lot of those moments where you finally recognize yourself for yourself. When you finally, you see reflected in another person how far you've come. You see reflected in another person your own beauty, your own gloriousness, right? And I think that sort of experience is worth, I don't know, it's invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable, because it's, I guess, not that you may have needed evidence, but we're in a very evidence-heavy based needing world, and so it's a really cool thing.
When I said none of this was easy, we were on the road up on the drive up here. I was saying none of this is easy, and even in making the conscious choice to go out on a Thursday night was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
But the hope, the promise, the anticipation of a joyous experience was there's not even a question. I'm going to go do this, and it was, and that's I got to tell you, this has been something that I have now. I mean, I have no regrets for the time that I spent alone, but it's the next phase of this of the transformation. It's just is this relationship, and it opened up a lot for me last night. A lot of pride. It opened up a lot of joy, and also connection, and it sees like the last week, and even you and I spent some time with a friend today. You want to call her a coach now? I mean,
sure.
So Janine and I spent an hour today with a
coach.
With a coach,
Yeah.
and hi Heather.
Hello, Heather.
and we went through it was a, what kind of, it was a,
It's called Imago.
Imago
Imago therapy.
and we got the opportunity to experience how I speak and
I listen.
and what you hear, and vice versa. And what was amazing was how what I was hearing from you or what you were hearing from me, underneath all that was what we were really saying to one another, which was compassionate. I see you. I want more for you. I'm asking you to step up into your power. I'm asking you to add compassion. And it was amazing how far we could come in our relationship in an hour when we were committed to the healing, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
Because when you spend this much time together, and we spend a lot of time together, it gets to be where automatics start to pop up.
Absolutely. And automatics, and also really, I would say, taking each other for granted, just assuming certain things about each other, like where I'm coming from or where you're coming from. What we got to learn today is that we're coming from spaces that we didn't necessarily imagine. And so it gives you a bird's eye view into what's really possible and what lies beneath. It gives you an extra layer of understanding and the ability to listen in a way that's actually productive. Because at the end of the day, you know, every type of relationship that we have in our lives is some kind of learning, some kind of growth, some kind of something. And I always said to Jay, like, we can't just always get stuck in this place. Like, we get to use it for our benefit, not to our detriment, because there's a richness here that we're overlooking. So I would like to acknowledge you, because that's huge. And both of us went in there like scared little cats, right? Because, like...
Well, you actually have to actually got to cut the crap, and you actually had to get down to brass tacks about what's actually driving the bus in conversations, whatever partnership that you're in. And we're saying this and meaning that in any relationship, business, personal or otherwise, learning to listen to the other human being, learning to hear them, and also shift your conversation about the stories you're making up.
This is huge.
Is the I think the missing ingredient
Absolutely.
to success. And why we're actually spending so much time this week on this is just that. Because if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in relationship, if you're in marriage, I mean, all of these things require the ability to take a look from another human's point of view. And I'm saying that it may require another person sitting in the room saying, what is she saying? No, that's not what she said. You need to, okay, now say it again. And being committed to the process of listening, practicing listening.
Right.
And hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to circle back to this idea of this genuine article. I mean, I spoke about this last night on my date about this movie called Leap of Faith with Steve Martin. And there's a part of that movie where he is saying to someone comes to him, they think that he healed them by him preaching, and he's like, no, he's like, I had nothing to do with you walking again.
Right.
You know, he's like, but you're the genuine article. You're the guy that I have to watch out for, because I can't fake that genuine article. And it was very profound, this one scene, but it brought me back to that feeling of knowing when I was full of it, as opposed to the contrast of today, knowing that, you know what, I'm standing on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
I get to handle whatever comes up, and knowing, there's an internal knowing of the journey that I've been through thus far that gives me the tools to get there.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a small break, and on the other side of this break, we're going to introduce our guest and have some fun with her. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show
with Jay and Janine. Give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show. phone.
Okay. And welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show. We're going through some technical issues. We're attempting to do something brand new on the show today, and that was to bring somebody in live via video. And as we're attempting to expand the capabilities of the show,
Absolutely.
We have a few kinks, but it's no worries, because I think
but we understand that our guest Donnell Highland is on the phone. So, Donnell, can you hear us?
I can. I certainly
there
can.
she is.
There she is.
I can see you on video right now.
Okay, so now we
looks
can
like I'm on
see you,
video
but we
here.
can't hear you.
Yes, great. Thanks
No,
for having me.
We cannot hear her at all.
So we're still trying to figure this out. So you just give us a second.
Yeah, give us a second.
Anyway,
to hear it.
I will say just for everybody, going back to the hurricane chasing thing for just 1 second. Unless you've done this before, I don't necessarily recommend it.
Right. Thank you for giving that little disclaimer.
My legal mind just came up. I'm like, wait a second. I just had the Momentum Mindset Show advocates hurricane chasing with a hurricane bearing down.
No, we do not.
So unless you're an experienced storm chaser, or just just don't do it.
Really, like they say in the law down here, govern yourself accordingly. Use your sense. Please don't put yourself in harm's way. But
it's funny that when my parents call me, like everybody everybody laughs at me, right, about the whole storm chasing thing. But I'm the phone call. All you see on my text messages today, and from everybody.
Donnell, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Awesome.
Yay!
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Now we can see you and hear you.
Oh, that's great.
Yay.
Great.
Donnell, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you on here. And basically, we'd like to...
Well, actually, just give you a little bit of an introduction. I mean, I met Donnell a number of years ago at a personal development program in Pompano in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And she actually, I met her just off chance because the person that enrolled me into the training had introduced me to her. And she had run what's called a trainer development program for individuals that wanted to become a personal development trainer.
Right.
And this is how I come to know her, because last year, as some of you know, I was part of this. It was the Trainer Design Global, and went through that entire program, graduated that with a certification in personal development training, and then thereafter, Donnell has a supplemental program, which has had Janine and I.
Right. I've had the pleasure to join this part of the program, creating the architecture and structure and nuts and bolts of taking a program from A to Z.
And and so we want to welcome you to the program. I know that you have a lot to say. So now please introduce yourself,
and please tell our audience what you're up to and how you came to be in this industry. And
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, I am so excited to be here with you. This is what a wonderful opportunity to share and give in a lot of different channels. And this is my first time doing radio and video and Facebook all at the same time. So it's like walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. Let's see how this goes.
Awesome.
I love it.
But yeah, so wow, I was introduced to transformational work 21 years ago. In 1998, I took a personal development training similar to what you, Jay and Janine, took through, at the time was LifeSpring and now Legacy Center, World Legacy. And at some point decided that work would be my life's work. I didn't know what that looked like at the time, but it's the kind of work that puts us, I think, in touch with our humanity. Jay, you were speaking earlier about, having a point in your life where you realized you were living in these facades, this need to present yourself a certain way based on what you thought you should present and manipulate to try to achieve certain results. And I think we, without realizing it as human beings, we grow up really taking on these images, and we lose sight of who we truly are, the what in us wants to express naturally, easily. And so when I took the trainings, that came alive for me, that every human being has something that wants to be expressed.
Oh, yeah.
And I decided to have my work be about that. So that's taken a lot of forms over the years. I do transformational trainings. I also, as you were mentioning, Janine and Jay, I work with people to develop their own transformational learning programs.
That's brilliant.
And interestingly, you were speaking earlier about communication and the process that you went through today. I have, over the last couple of decades, really been interested in and a student of what is it in the way that we communicate that brings out the best in us. Mm-hmm. So I've been developing a body of work around that and getting ready to do a workshop on transformational communication.
Oh my God, that's amazing. When will that be coming out?
In October. So I'm going to be doing a live workshop in Durham, North Carolina, which is where I live. And it really, it's a mission of mine that people live in a way that we acknowledge our innate connection to one another.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is about for me.
Yeah.
That's how I got my start years ago, and have continued to evolve that.
No,
go ahead.
No,
Jay.
I was going to say you brought something up about the initial training that you did, and what was so powerful about it. For me, it was the creation of awareness, of the ability to almost see myself. Me playing life Jay playing life, Jay doing Jay in life.
Right.
And I think that of all the things in transformation, that awareness or ability to notice how you're showing up is the most powerful piece. Now, what do you think is the greatest tool in transformation as far as awareness or noticing? And
right, from your point of view,
what do you think the biggest challenge is for people to keep going in this work?
Yeah, great questions. I would say, you spoke about noticing, and that coupled with the power of perspective, I think is the key to living a thriving life. And the key about noticing is truly noticing, being impartial about it. Where I've seen people get tripped up, including myself many, many times, is where I judge what I notice. So rather than looking at the feedback, looking at the information that I can see about how I've been living my life, I judge it. And then in a way, and through judging it, I'm not really looking at it. I'm not really giving myself the opportunity to take an eagle's eye view above my life and look. I'm then, miring myself in all kinds of upset and judgment and shoulds.
Right.
So that keeps me from growing. So I would say that. And then for me, from my point of view, the linchpin or the power of transformation is the power of perspective.
Say more about that, please.
So perspective in the sense of being able to, as I said, take that bird's eye view and have a greater sense of life beyond what a current situation or circumstance I find myself in, or beyond what I'm currently going through. And being able to then choose what I'm committed to, what I'm really about. And there's so many pieces to this. I could just go on and on.
What would you say? I mean, I don't know your full story, but I don't know what you were doing before you did that first training. Because for me, that part one of that first training, because I think it was similar to the one that you took, and you took yours some years before I did. I know what my life looks like today because of that program. Because of when someone told me in that program, the trainer said, all events are neutral, my world and my entire world and my excuses stopped. Because when I became accountable for the things in my life, and in a moment that, hey, everything you charge everything in your life. What we say, what were you doing before this work, and how did that first program change your life? Because some people don't understand the power of how a program in one weekend can change. Because whether it be a program like that we've done or the program that we're designing, I love hearing that before and after stories.
Yeah, sure. So at the time that I took the training, I was teaching. That's how I started my career. I taught in public school, middle school, and I came into the field all gung-ho, passionate, excited. Wow, I'm going to make a difference in kids' lives, and what a privilege to be with them. And by the end of my second year, I started to burn out. And I said, wait, I'm in my early 20s. Why am I burning out? Now, granted, I was in a school with a lot of challenges. I mean, we had so many cross sections of socioeconomics and worldviews, which I didn't have that language at the time, but different perspectives all in the same building. We had two different calendars, and there was literally, I'm not exaggerating, some kind of fighting in the building every day. There was high suspension rate, very low performance. And I just felt myself getting into burnout. And I also, while feeling that, I was also feeling this call that my life could be about something much greater than going to work and being tired and getting up the next day, dragging myself out of bed, wanting to make a difference. So through the process of going through the transformational curriculum, I got in touch with what really mattered to me, and I got in touch with the power that I have as a human being to create my life. So what occurred after that is, without going through all the details of it, I ended up at 24 years old having a position created for me by the school district where I was working to lead a transformation initiative for our school.
This is the power of this work.
Amazing.
Right.
And I think what happened for me, I was thinking about this earlier this week, going back to those shoulds I was speaking about, we grow up, all of us, we grow up with these ideas of what different roles should look like. So, here I was, a teacher. I'm young. I'm thinking, okay, if I want to do something greater or something beyond teaching, I don't mean greater because teachers are extraordinary, but if I wanted to do something beyond that, if I wanted to get into administration or, somewhere where I could work on the district level, that's going to take me, X number of years and X number of more degrees. And I got really clear in the training that it didn't have to look that way, that I could be a difference right now. And simply by choosing that, it led me to the position being created for me and getting to do that work.
So she speaks into the emphasis on the power of now.
Yes.
That life is now. And having an appreciation and a perspective that life is now, I think is that one of those things about transformation is like, let's seize it.
And also, Donnell, what I hear you saying in listening to this really powerful story, I'm so glad that we are getting a chance to get to know the background, right? Because we see you in our capacity. So a lot of, it's like you got in touch with your own agency and choice. It's almost like you gave yourself permission to say, okay, it doesn't have to look like I thought it did. And here I go.
Absolutely. And it was out of choosing, I said earlier, I got in touch with what really mattered to me. I really created a vision of what my school could be like, what all of our schools could be like. I got really clear about creating a school where kids would stand up tall and be proud of who they were and really respect who they are and respect who others are and learn from differences rather than using differences to hold up barriers.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And I had actually had students in my class who were in environments where there were gangs, and they would literally go home and have drive-by shootings happen in their neighborhood. And so it mattered to me that kids got to get that they could create their lives, that they were not bound by what they experienced around them, and that they could be the difference. So I just became about that and kept choosing from that, and it eventually led into this, about a year and a half after I completed the training, it led to this position. but I wasn't going after a position or a role. I was going after a vision and living into a vision.
That's a huge
And I think-
distinction.
yeah.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna take a small little break, and we're gonna pick this up where we're leaving it off, because I mean I love this, because I'm just even hearing this backstory.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So we'll
Yeah.
be right back in just a few minutes.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show. We are here
back, everybody.
with our guest, Donnell Highland, and we were just talking about a little bit about your background, also what got you into transformation, and you were talking about your application of it in the school system.
Yeah.
What happened with that program? And
Yeah, so we, through really creating partnership across the entire faculty and with our parents and students, we created a family. You know, we were a family before we started, but we were a family of people in pockets. You know, kind of like the distant cousin group who lives in another state and we don't quite know each other. That kind of family before we started, but after we started the work, we became a family, and that happened through training, and actually incorporated many of the distinctions that you and I know through the work that we've done in the personal development training. We incorporated that with the faculty, staff, and students. And the school did very well. We brought our performance scores. We more than doubled the level of students performing at or above grade level, percentage points wise.
Wow.
We received a national and statewide award for our work, and I think, but most importantly to me, we had kids who were walking the halls understanding each other rather than fighting. We had teachers who learned how to put themselves in their students' shoes, and students who learned how to put themselves in their teachers' shoes and really connect. And after a number of years, the school transformed itself into a magnet school for creative arts, which I just think is wonderful.
That is
and
incredible.
It's still doing well today.
That's incredible. You literally gave these children, through your own vision, right? And everybody in that community, teachers, families, parents, everybody, because the reverberation of that is truly endless. Like, we don't even know where it is today. It's amazing. So that is the power of transformation.
And I want to talk about the power of transformation for a second, because when you're talking about, some of our listeners don't like, what are you guys talking about?
I know. It's gibberish to some.
And so when I say I went to my first personal development program, it was a 4-day program, for Thursday evening, Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. And I cannot overstate the power of that weekend. And I had not done any work in my entire life. The closest thing that I knew that something powerful could happen as far as information of awareness is concerned is after my first year of law school, I got a book called Getting to Maybe, How to Write a Law School Exam. After I got that book, I don't think I got anything less than a B+ in law school. Why? Because the book told me how to write a law school exam. Right. Transformational work is similar about how to live your life, but it's experiential.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk a little bit with you about, what do you think it is about a seminar? Or what do you think about what is the magic of the 4 days or something? Because we're about to put we're about to put on a 3-day program, and just so people out there know what's available to them, just showing up to something like this. Right? I want to, from your perspective, having been through so many of these trainings or created them, what do you think the magic is about those 3 days? Because most people are like, how are you going to change my life in 3 days? How are you going to do it in 4 days?
Right.
What do you think the magic is?
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer that in two ways. So first of all, I want to really emphasize that the magic is each person. You know,
Yeah.
it's each person coming in with an intention and a commitment to have something happen. And if that's not present, we could create all the the most extraordinary process, most incredible exercises, but there's there's got to be a willingness and an intention and commitment on the part of each person in the room. So let me say that first, because I'll go back to what I said earlier. We always have the power of choice, and so coming into one of an environment in that way is part of what has it be miraculous and magical in people's lives, because there's a room full of willing people who are there to have something happen.
Right.
The second way I'll answer that is that, oh wow, what happens in the training. I don't know if both of you found this, Jay and Janine. What I've found myself, and then over the years of working with people in the training, is that we're not really saying anything that people don't know or that's new,
Right.
but we're putting it in a framework and in a concentrated way where, out of hearing certain distinctions, for example, choice, something awakens inside people. It's almost like there's a vague, oh yeah, I knew that I've had choice in my life. Somehow I just forgot that, you know, from growing up and you know, moving into my adult years. But something in me awakens in that room, out of the conversations, and being there with other people. I mean, there's no substitute for the kind of connection that happens when I'm sitting in an audience and someone stands up to share something and I say, wow, I'm going through that as well. I didn't know anybody else was going through that.
Right.
Because I think we walk through our lives oftentimes. I was speaking to a colleague of mine last week about this. We walk through our lives as though we are separate, isolated things almost. You know, and my colleague, you all know my colleague, Dr. Ray.
Yes.
Dr. Ray was using the language, we thing ourselves. You know, I'm a shy thing, I'm a teacher thing, I'm a mom thing, I'm a, you know, man thing, whatever that thing is in our image of it. And we lose sight of the connectivity that we have with other people. So through some of the experiences in the training, we get back to that. And you were saying earlier on the show, Janine, you were speaking to Jay about the glory of seeing your own gloriousness through another person when he went out on his date. That happens in the room because we really are calling forth the very best of ourselves. And when I start to see that in you, it reflects back in me and vice versa. And it sounds maybe esoteric to some of the listeners, but the experience is truly palpable.
Do you think it's contagious?
Absolutely.
Do you think willingness is contagious? Because I think that it is in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause
Because people get encouraged together.
Like when you
And
raise your
it's-
hand and say, "Yeah, I went."
Absolutely.
Someone raises their hand and said, "I've been ashamed of this since I was 4 years old." And someone
Right.
says, and that person raising their hand is trying to get something off their chest that they thought nobody else went through in their entire life.
Absolutely.
And then when somebody else in the room says, "I connect with that. I identify with that," I think that breeds the
Alchemy.
willingness.
It breeds the openness, the willingness, the connection, and the safety to make it all possible.
Which brings up
Absolutely. And I would add to that as well. The same with, you know, we often speak of things that we think we're going through our private, you know, pains or our private situations. Also, when it comes to sharing what matters to us and what our dreams are. I mean, how many times have we, and those of you listening, you've had on your mind something you wanted to do or bring about, but you're scared to put it out there because you think people are going to think you're crazy or it's not a good idea or that's too much of a risk or et cetera. So having an environment where it really is not only safe but celebrated for us to bring out what most wants to express itself through us, which we call our dreams, is powerful as well. It lifts everyone in the room.
Yeah. I love that you say it in that way. Recently, Jay's reconnected with music. I have too. And recently I had a small little performance, and it was that soul knock that was on me that is like, okay, it's not about you being Celine Dion. It's about expressing something that is literally on my soul. And
Absolutely.
it comes out in a melody, right? It comes out in connection with the other singers and being in admiration in the presence of other musicians who are just as moved as I am by the music. And it's something that is, and it's a beautiful experience to have. And it is really all about expression. So, yeah.
And one of the things that I want to say on a personal level is your commitment, not just to the work, but to us, and to from the first time that I met you, and I remember where I was in this back room of where we were at that center, and I just looked at you and I knew that I was in the and the words the genuine article came up the first time I laid eyes on Donnell.
Right.
Because there was no faking about her. She was in the work, she was doing the thing, walking the walk, and there was something just like so real and authentic. And it's been consistent about how you show up for this work, for this, because the Momentum program might as well have, could have easily have died this year, because life shows up.
Yeah,
a
myriad of reasons.
And I just wanted you to speak into this also, is this concept of team.
Yeah.
And as far as building the team and keeping the team, because we invite our listeners to get an
surround themselves,
get an accountability buddy,
and
build the team around you. So if you'd like to speak into that just a little bit about the creation of team and how it relates to transformation.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you for that, Jay. I'm thrilled about what you both are doing, and I just want to say for all your listeners before I answer your question, you are in for something extraordinary. So I encourage you all to do their first pilot, because
right.
as their coach, I got to read through what they're doing, and I was blown away. I've never seen anything like this in transformation, and it is absolutely extraordinary. I got inspired. So let me just say that. In terms of the power of team and transformation, we are hardwired to be connected. We really are. So, and it's very, if we're not aware, it can be easy, as you said, to just fall into, without, recognizing that we have choice always, but fall into this, day-to-day grind, or these limiting conversations that have been patterned and conditioned over the course of however many decades we've been alive. So having a community where the very best of who we are is called forth always, where we're seeing the gift and the power of each person on our team and not settling for anything less than that. Being in that kind of space, with that kind of team in our lives, that ensures that everybody thrives. It really does, because the moment I start giving to you in that way, the moment let's say the three of us were on a team, if I look at Jay and I say, no, I'm not going to settle, Jay, there's something greater that you have to offer here, and I'm about that also calls me forward to bring out the best of myself.
Amen. It does.
And you've experienced this, any of the listeners, if you've been on a sports team before, or you could watch movies like Remember the Titans,
Rudy.
We've all had, probably, I hope we've all had at least one moment of an experience of that. Imagine if that's the way that we live our lives, if that becomes a way of life. That we surround ourselves with a team that's about bringing out the very best of every team member. Imagine if we've lived in communities like that, countries like that,
it's
schools
possible.
like that.
It's possible. And it starts with that seed of even thinking that it's possible or even having a taste of that it's possible. But one of the things that I find so extraordinary about you is, and that I notice even in this interview, and I've noticed and admired, your ability to listen so intently and so
It's amazing.
really magically is something really to your credit. And it's a huge talent. And really, to your credit, I've always been astounded. Every time we get off the phone with you on a mentoring call or anytime, after our class, I am astounded by you, Donnell. Like, your level of presence is not just like, people in transformation love to say that word presence, but it's few the people who actually really have it. And so to witness it is such a great gift and honestly, like, amazing. And
so
to be in your space is incredibly inspirational for us.
And
too.
we you know what,
you.
we do have to
Thank
take
you.
one more break, but I wanted you to stick around because I want to know what you're up to now, because
Yes.
I want to hear what's next for you. So we'll be right back in just a minute.
All right. Thank you.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Welcome back one more time to the Momentum Mindset Show.
Welcome back,
with our
everybody.
guest, Donnell Highland. And what's next for you? What do you have going on coming up this fall and for the next year, let's say?
Oh, okay. Wow. So coming up immediately, I have another group of the Trailblazer Academy starting in October.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Congratulations.
Fantastic.
That's the program that Jay and Janine have been in with me.
We know we've
throughout this
recommended
year.
you, so yeah.
Oh, thank you. And that is for people who really are committed to creating new pathways for the way that we relate to one another. And that could look like social pathways, economic pathways, community development pathways, through developing a transformational learning program. So that's what the Academy is all about. It's both, as a trailblazer, how do you enter your community with your work, and then how to create a program that really is high quality. Another thing that I have coming up in October, I'm going to be offering for the very first time, I'm so excited about it, Transformative Communication. It's a one-day workshop, and it really is about the art of listening and speaking. And
October what?
October what? And where's it going to be?
Monday, October 21st in Durham at the Durham Convention Center in downtown Durham.
I may be there, or we may be there.
Yeah, and then my colleagues, Dr. Ray Blanchard and Betty Sproul, and I are doing a course for people who want to start the path of taking on this work of transformational training or personal development training, or incorporate that into their careers. The course we're doing is called Dynamic Training and Speaking. That will happen in Raleigh, North Carolina. A 4-day course at the end of October 31st through November 4th.
Oh, wow.
I love that. October is a very active month for you, and it's my birthday month, so.
It is. And then what the next year is about for me is really cultivating a tribe of trailblazers who are on each other's team and doing work that has a marked impact on the fabric of our society. Certainly there's an opening for that in the world right now.
And if anybody wants to if someone wants to get in touch with you, or if they want to attend your events coming up in October, how can they get a hold of you?
If they want to get in touch with me, that I've got a website that's in progress. It's actually going under construction, but they can go to alignleadership.global, www.alignleadership.global, and they can say under the contact me, and I can have my assistant get in touch with them and schedule some time to talk. And if they want to attend the workshop, that's actually up on Facebook, so they can go to Transformative Communication Workshop and register for that.
Awesome.
And if they want to go to the Dynamic Training and Speaking course, they can visit www.trainerdesignsglobal.com, and we can maybe put all this on the Momentum Mindset page as well.
Yes, we would absolutely love to. Get us all of that information, and it would be our pleasure to blast that out for you. Absolutely.
And really, thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And thank you for all that you've done in our space, in our world.
We're so grateful.
We are really eternally grateful, and we will speak to you soon because we have a lot of work left to do.
We have a mentoring call soon, so
Thank you.
Thanks again,
so
Donnell.
much. And to all the people who joined, thank you for being here. And just go out and live the very best of yourself. Surround yourself with people who are going to call that forth from you.
Yeah.
Thank you both for
right.
the opportunity.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks, Donnell.
And for everybody else, I mean, we really can't say enough about her and what she's done for
Right.
us and with us,
Yeah.
and as part of our team. One of the powerful things she says, and I think this is in any team that you're building, whatever relationship that you're building,
Yep.
it's that being with someone that calls you forth. It's not a competition, but someone that sees the grace in you and calls it forth because they're up to the same stuff that you are.
Yeah.
And that energy, that synergy is just what makes life just exceptional. And just working in this space with you and
you.
And it is that calling forth.
Yeah.
When you any team that you're creating, it really is hard work to be in a space while you're creating the life of your dreams. Because all the things that you could possibly throw in your own way, and then what life throws at you, you get to handle.
Yeah.
And none of it's easy, and none of the conversations that come up are going to be easy.
No.
But that power of choice that Donnell was just sharing, just being in that space of just knowing that you always have a choice of how to handle a circumstance. And because some things came up with us this week, what did we do? A friend offered this particular time
Technique. Time.
And we said yes. And I continue. I say this. I was asked to go to tennis. I was asked to go to this, going on a date, all these things. I keep saying yes to life. And what life gives me back is absolutely beautiful. And I'm just really proud of the work that we've done. And in the show is now going into its 9 months next time you see us. And we thank you always for watching.
Thank you very much, everybody. And, really from a space of my heart, we're always very genuine on the show about what we go through and how this walk is not easy. And it doesn't get any easier necessarily with time, but you start getting better at it. You get better at noticing. You get better at the awareness, and that opens another door, and then another door, and then another door. So what I will say to people is keep going. It's absolutely worth it. What has shown up for me as a person, for you, for us collectively, and for people I know who are heading in this direction, it's not always, rainbows and Skittles, but it's really, really worth it because the human being I am today is not even the human being I was maybe even a week ago. It's constantly growing, shedding that skin, and being proud also at the person looking back in the mirror. And when I have any moments of like angst or things don't feel right, I have new tools to go through that and to come out on the other side with richness instead of shame, blame, or what's wrong with me.
And we only started this a couple of years ago, and it really did started with this one program. And the power of a weekend, it's basically anybody making a choice to say how I don't want yesterday to look like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, to actually take yourself on for 3 or 4 days at a seminar and pay attention and throw yourself into all of the exercises and all of the work, and then get that awareness to be able to see yourself the way that you play life. Because ultimately, I've learned this: the one thing standing in the way of me is me. And
always, it's a common denominator
all the
in
time.
every single instance in your life. Everything that's gone right and everything that's gone wrong.
So,
yeah.
And so, in closing, I know that there's symbolism in chasing a storm.
There's a lot of symbolism in
There's
what's coming
symbolism
up.
in chasing a hurricane.
Sure.
And most of my life, I chased chaos. But what I liked about the symbol of the hurricane is that there's a space in the middle of it where everything's calm.
Mm-hmm.
Where, as a matter of fact, I've seen blue sky in the middle of the eye of a hurricane when I was in Irma.
Wow.
And it was an experience like none other, because you realize that if you can stay in the center of the storm and have peace. So no matter what's swirling around outside you in your world, if you take a moment to just be and center yourself, you can see the sky. And that's what I loved about chasing storms more than anything else. Yeah. We will see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Please
for joining us.
Stay safe during this
Be safe.
holiday weekend, and batten down the hatches, y'all. Let's see what Dorian brings.
Thank you for listening to the Momentum Mindset Show. For your hosts, Jay and Janine, we'll see you here next week. Thank you for being real, authentic, and honest.
If you'd like to reach us, please contact us on our Facebook page, The Momentum Mindset Show, or on our office phone line, which is 954-559-6987.
We are stronger together.
And remember, keep going.